All right.
As usual, now that everyone's signing on, if you could put your name and your organization in the chat.
For sure. I think that was just a good comment, and it made me think about the correlation with the other stuff. So
yeah, and just to kind of go on that, Pete, I think Annetta Kolkowski, I think that's how her last name is pronounced. She had asked Pete for some environmental documents related to the old coal pile, which I think, Pete, you said there really aren't any.
We have some feedback. Does everybody want to put their cells on mute while we're letting everyone into the room? Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Elizabeth, having some difficulty pulling up the slides.
Are you?
Oh, here we go.
Let me know if you've got that. Good morning, everyone. We're having some technical difficulty here, but we'll be with you in a moment. We're trying to get the slide deck up.
Okay, yep, I just lost my screen. Oh, there we go.
Here we go.
Good morning, everyone. Laura, let me know if you want me to put up, well, you got it, good.
There we go. Thank you for your patience, everyone.
All right, good morning. We'll just give a minute or so for everybody to log on. All right, well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to 2022. I heard this morning I was on a meeting that we have at our office on for our pandemic group, and they said they didn't realize that 2022 was a trilogy. So let's hope that's not to be the case here, that we're working our way out of this and that everybody is staying healthy and well, and their new year is off and healthy and excited for the work that we have ahead. Today's meeting is going to be very participatory, and I do appreciate everybody making time, your commitment to Chicago Wilderness Alliance and the work that we do together. We know that everybody has a lot of commitments and workloads within your own organization, but to make time for something that's larger than each of us can do on our own is greatly appreciated. The first thing we want to do is to approve the agenda for today, and that was provided in advance to everyone. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Jack Brunner, motion to approve.
Jack, thank you very much. Do we have a second?
Jim Anderson was second.
Jim, thank you. Any additional discussion or additions to today's agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor, we'll take a voice vote. All those in favor, motion by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The agenda is approved. All right, the next order of business that we have is, unfortunately, it's that time that we have to say farewell to members that have been on our steering committee, but it's more of a celebration and recognition of the amazing work that they've helped along in stewarding the Alliance over a multi-year period. And most steering committee members serve for a period of 3 years, and then they have the opportunity to be reappointed. Some of the initial slots were, 2 years or 1 year as we began working through this format. And I do want to recognize two board members that are leaving the board. Dave Giordano from Root Pike Watershed Initiative. Dave has been out of the Wisconsin area and has been a wonderful addition, assisting us, serving 1 year. And he unfortunately had to leave our steering committee early, but we truly appreciate what he brought to us. And then Daniel Suarez from Audubon Great Lakes. Daniel has served the Alliance during our transition from the very beginning to term, the time that he has been with us since 2017. And again, just appreciation for all the efforts and leadership that he has brought to us as we were navigating and going forward. So I don't know if Dave or Daniel are on with us this morning, or did you see them come in?
I'm here. Daniel's here.
Daniel, awesome. Well, on behalf of the entire Alliance, and I'm sure others can speak, we want to thank you for your leadership and service. Just amazing. And we're not going to let you go too far, though.
I appreciate the kind words, Elizabeth. And yeah, I feel like I've been on for so long, longer than I actually did serve. But that's just a testament to how much things have accelerated and grown in the last couple of years, and super exciting to see with the Green Vision goals and the alignment there, how things are building. And I really feel like, we're on the precipice of making a really big impact throughout the region in a unique way that isn't necessarily duplicative of what Chicago Wilderness was in its original iteration, but one that kind of meets the needs and meets the needs of today, and engages the people that need to be around the table to be there. So I won't be very far, like you said. I'm still very engaged on the subcommittee level and look forward to continuing.
Well, thank you, Daniel. And I would entertain from the entire Executive Council a round of applause for Daniel and for Dave for their leadership and service. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. And now I would like to introduce Victoria Wittig. Victoria Wittig is our new board member that's coming on board. And Victoria, you are with us here. So before we go through installation of officers, I just want for you to introduce yourself to the Executive Council and maybe just say a few remarks.
Thank you, Elizabeth, and welcome everyone. I'm delighted to join the steering committee this year. I'm starting out on my 4th year with Save the Dunes. I bring with me some expertise on climate change and biodiversity and pollinators, and I'm really excited to represent the Northwest Indiana voice in the Chicago Wilderness community. And I'm really excited to see how the Green Vision and the Congress and all of our goal groups are going to shape up moving forward. So thank you to everyone, and I'm excited to get going.
Thank you, Victoria, and we are glad to have you with us. And again, we know that you will add a lot to this already dynamic group. So up on your screen, and just to introduce, we have everyone else continuing forward for this upcoming year with officers, and all of the slate. Those that went for re-election were approved back in October. But I do have an oath of office. So if I can, I'm going to read something out for our entire officers and at-large steering committee members for 2022. And it'll be participatory. So when it's your point, I want you to state your name. And then I say, I do. So You have been elected to the steering committee as either an officer or an at-large member of the board of directors of Chicago Wilderness Alliance by the partner organizations of the Executive Council. Your experience with the Chicago Wilderness Alliance, conservation leadership, and knowledge in the field, as well as your enthusiasm and dedication to the Alliance, make you an excellent addition to our talented and hardworking steering committee. It will be your official duty to work with the chair, other elected officers, and the membership to advance the Chicago Wilderness Alliance and to faithfully perform the duties of your office as prescribed in our policies and procedures. Are you prepared to take the oath of office as directors of the Chicago Wilderness Steering Committee and the Chicago Wilderness Alliance?
Yes.
I do.
Yes, I do.
I do.
Okay. And in the presence of members and guests assembled, do you state your name?
Jerry Averman.
Jim Anderson.
Nathaniel Pilla.
Amy Rosenthal.
Victoria Wittig.
David Schimberg.
Maggie Solis.
Jim Anderson.
Did we get everybody? Wonderful. Promise and pledge that you will discharge the duties of the office to the best of your knowledge and ability. Please say I do, if you agree.
I do.
I do.
Wonderful. Please join me, everyone, in congratulating our officers and at-large steering committee members for the upcoming year. We, on behalf of the Alliance, appreciate your efforts in making a difference for the entire Chicago Wilderness region, for all the people and all living things. Congratulations, everyone. Thank you for your service. Okay, we'll move on to the next item of the items that are on the consent agenda. And these items, just to outline for you, we've got the treasurer's report for year end for our fourth quarter, the executive council meetings for October 20th, 2021. We have our fiscal sponsorship agreement for another several years with the Friends of the Forest Preserve that'll take us through March 31st, 2024 at the same terms. And then we have new members that we'll introduce. We have 4 groups: Ancient Oaks Foundation, Climate Reality, Chicago Metro Chapter, Lincoln Park Conservancy, and Olson Ecological Solutions. So with all of those, any questions on any of those items? If not, I'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved by Maggie.
Maggie, thank you. Kathy, thank you. We have a second. Any other further discussion on the consent agenda items? Hearing none, all those in favor, motion by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, nay. Okay, the ayes have it. The consent agenda is approved. Thank you so very much. And all of these items are in your packet. All right, I'm now going to turn it over to 2 of our steering committee members, Michelle Carr and Amy Rosenthal, to go over with you a year in review, a celebration of collaboration and convening, listening and learning for the past year. So Michelle and Amy, take it away.
Great. I'm Amy Rosenthal, Field Museum, and I'm on the steering committee. And I am so excited to be here with Michelle today to say a little bit about what CW did in 2021. So, with all the chaos and the anxiety that's been brought on by Omicron, and also the kind of additional stresses and the turmoil that folks faced in 2021, it's sometimes hard to remember and easy to lose track of what we did together. But I think it's actually really important for us to take a moment to recall what it is we worked on and to look at those achievements in a new way. Because all of us here on this call and folks beyond it that are in the members of the Chicago Wilderness Alliance have achieved an inordinate, incredible, breathtaking amount in the last year. And it's in a diversity of accomplishments that show real tangible progress toward our shared goals. It's really amazing. I think you'll agree once you see some of the highlights that Michelle and I share today. And after that, we'll give you a chance to share the things that we haven't yet stated or that you want to reinforce. So get ready for that as a Mentimeter will appear. For now, I'm going to ask for the next slide. So first of all, we launched, count them, 7 goals to achieve a green vision for the region last year. And those are in really important areas that speak to the breadth of our geographies, the 4 states, the many counties that are involved. It's agriculture, green infrastructure, conservation areas, climate action, healthy lands and waters. And I am particularly gratified and grateful to have 2 brilliant co-chairs and energetic who are working with me on a new and growing area of work for Chicago Wilderness. What Daniel talked about is the needs of today that build upon the incredible work of the past. That is increasing equitable access to nature. So all of these goal teams are not just on paper, but they're alive and well and working. So they have co-chairs, they've had meetings, there are written statements about what we're trying to achieve together and progress made under their belts, all in 2021. It's a wholly new set of work streams and engagements that, as I said, builds on the foundation, the existing committees, and the 20 years and more of history from CW. So members across the region in all 4 states have participated in each of these goals. They've helped to exchange information, to align on a shared vision, and to develop even new products. One of these products is the Chicago Wilderness Hub. The CW Hub is a remarkable platform, and I encourage you to explore it if you haven't yet. It brings together the most salient, accurate, up-to-date maps, tools, and resources for us to be able to build on the foundation of 2021 and really accomplish that green vision for 2025. Next slide. And Michelle. If Michelle isn't here yet, I'm going to share her part for this one. She's going to join in as soon as she arrives. So in 2020, we moved the CW Congress online. But despite being remote, we were able to continue transform what it is into a series of Chicago Wilderness cafes, so a real series of things that we did. It allowed us to keep the spirit of Congress alive and to share ideas and pose questions about our environmental conservation work together, and to continue to be together, if not in person, at least virtually. I think this was a real success. And perhaps because of being remote, the series has blossomed in its work. In particular, what you can see on the slide, Carolyn Finney, who is a storyteller, an author deeply interested in issues related to identity, difference, creativity, and resilience. The author of Black Faces, White Spaces was one of those first CW Cafe presentations, and she gave a riveting presentation that was attended by a whopping 1,000+ participants. And if you go to the next slide. So one of the things that was really a standout for me in the last year were the Force of Nature Awards and the Excellence in Ecological Restoration last year. So we were able to celebrate conservation leaders from across the region and recognize the stunning ecological caretaking that is happening right here and that CW helps to foster, make possible, and connect people with. The event was a powerful reminder for me of why we're all here and what we can truly accomplish with an indomitable spirit and a shared sense of commitment and purpose for the future of our region. So I want to thank especially the Forest Preserves of Cook County for hosting us live and in person. We hope to have more of these in the future. Next slide. Michelle, if you're on, yeah, you can take this slide. And if not, I'm going to read what I see you wanted to say.
She's not.
Thanks, Laura. So Chicago Wilderness engaged consultants from the Institute for Conservation Leadership, Diane Russell and Peter Lane, for work in 2021. ICF is or ICL is a group that many of you probably know or have heard of or have worked with, and other alliances and cooperatives. They serve kind of local, state, regional, and national groups working on environmental issues across the nation. And they've been doing it since 1988. And they have helped a lot of them to kind of take their work to the next stage chapter level. And what they've done with us is help to develop a strategic plan and to undergird those goal teams and working closely with a steering committee, a planning group, and others. And all across the year, they've helped to strengthen what it is we're doing, moving each of our goal teams forward, supporting committees, and strengthening what it is we can do, our thinking and our vision. In particular, many of you may have participated in their network mindset workshop, which helped us to think about what an alliance is and can do, and why, how it can support members and bring us together to achieve things we couldn't alone. On the next slide, you'll see that another thing we did in 2021 was, I think, foundational for everything we'll do in the future of the Chicago Wilderness Alliance. Led by the JEDI Task Force, we were able to engage a consultant to begin a diversity, equity, and inclusion process with a baseline that many of you participated in, surveys saying, where are we now and where do we want to go? This includes an incredible series of workshops. I think there are 7 of them that started last year and will continue this year. And I strongly recommend you engage in them to help us not just see where we are, make progress on that towards more diversity, equity, and inclusion, and to be more prepared to do that well. So over the course of this year, we'll be building on that with Cream City Consulting and August Ball, who you see pictured on the slides. That work is really important and foundational because part of the Green Vision is to become a more diverse, better representative alliance across the region that we all call home. And on the next slide, you guys will have an opportunity to weigh in. We want you to take a moment to share in this Mentimeter what you've witnessed, the achievements, the accomplishments of your colleagues, fellow members, working groups, goal teams, task forces, and committees that we haven't mentioned. So what work, goals, and accomplishments in 2021 are you most excited about? Who and what deserves some applause?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And I gotta tell you something else too.
And
All right.
if I'll try to put that in the chat, and so we're going to switch over right now to the Menti so that you can see it. And I'll put it in the chat as well. Michelle, I think you're here. I'm gonna let you say some things if you want to, and share when the Menti is up.
Well, I just want to say hello, and I left my friend Amy Rosenthal high and dry. 2 of those slides were supposed to be my presentation, and I'm sure she did them beautifully from the notes, and I thank you, Amy. I have nothing to add, but I do want to put a link in the chat to the cafes and alert you to the fact that you know, besides Carolyn Finney being just a smashing success, there's a on the 26th of January, mark your calendars, from 3 to 4:30, the Illinois Environmental Council, moderated by Tanisha Harris and Lindsay Keeney, are going to be giving a presentation about collaboration for 30 by 30 for America the Beautiful. And it's going to be awesome, just like all these cafes have been. So I'm going to put a link in the cafe or in the chat and just say, I owe Amy a little something. That's it. And then go to Menti. Perhaps you could share what you're thinking about when you think about accomplishments for CW over the last 2021, and who and maybe what deserve a little applause. So just please join and share some ideas.
So some of the amazing things I see are that there was huge vision or huge progress on the green vision goals. You can see, oh, advancing advocacy and awareness. That's, you got some of those alerts, some of the things you could click on. Members are now more connected, more activated around some of the shared actions that we can take. 12 amazing forces of nature who received awards that was live streamed. And also there's information on the website about Mark Johnston and the Hub. There's a great band out there. I want to hear your music in addition to seeing your tech and tools that you put out. We've been connected incredibly by Laura and Maria, as well as by Elizabeth and the steering committee. The Jedi Task Force, call out for them. The Data Hub team. Partnership between NICOR and CW, incredible, unexpected new resources for doing the work we want to do. Getting more refinement on the goals and beginning to implement collaborative work on something that was great. Ooh, green vision. At this time, we have a couple of minutes left. I want to have people unmute and say anything that we've missed, because it really is an incredible amount. If you saw those slides, which I didn't do justice to, you'll see that it's over a dozen major areas of accomplishment during a year when we were all remote, trying to figure out what COVID was bringing and reeling from its consequences, and also putting a lot of work in at our own individual member organizations. And in addition to that, so many folks who are on this call put their time, their effort, their resources, their brilliant thinking, their inventiveness and ideas into especially this green vision and what we're trying to accomplish together for the region we call home. Anyone want to share something?
I will, Amy. This is Jim Jarisol, NICOR Gas, and steering committee member, vice chair. And, you know, when I reflect about 2021, you know, I think about us as a collaborative really finding our synergies, coming together, you know, the gravitation around the hub and the organization around that. I feel like we're prepared to propel forward in 2022. You know, I mentioned in the mentee, you know, NICOR helping with some kind of surprising support, right, for last year, but then also continuing on for the next 3 years. We're looking at a longer term way to help support. And I think, you know, as we have built this foundation, it just becomes easier to plug in new partners to engage in different kinds of ways to structurally have that foundation that we can build from. And so I just am really applaud everyone for the activity last year, and I'm really excited about 2022.
Yeah, Wayne Schimpfer, Secretary for Caretakers of the Environment International. And one thing that I was looking at the hub, you had increased access to nature, and looking at the makeup of the people on this call, there's some glaring absences. We don't have any teenagers. We have very few minority groups. We don't have any Latinos that are big in their neighborhoods here in Chicago. So that maybe in the future, each one of us should bring one of the missing members, whether it's teenagers or minority groups and so on, to sit in front of us at the table, and then have the agenda where the invited absentee members from the past, you know, converse and talk and discuss ideas and so on. And then we as the mentees can sit behind them. And if they have questions about what's in historically, which we know and they don't, and I think we could rapidly increase that hub idea of increasing access to nature. And so it's just a challenge that I think when we were going through it, what I was looking for is what are the building opportunities in order to increase membership capacity in the future and to energize a segment of the community that is not actively represented here. So.
So Wayne has challenged us all to bring some of our missing members from across the Chicago Wilderness region as one of the things that we build on the foundation of 2021 and do in 2022. I, for one, think that's a great idea. We know there are missing members and we know we can do that. And the success of the Alliance depends on the work of all of us. So Wayne, you're on. I'm gonna commit to mine.
Okay, I'll be happy to work with anybody that wants to do this, because I've worked with an organization that doesn't exist anymore, Tree Musketeers from El Segundo, California, and it was sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, and we had fun doing that by each one of us bringing a teenager to the table and discuss the issues and so on from their viewpoint, which opened the eyes of a lot of people, because these teens didn't know what they didn't know, and so they were always wanting to explore. And so I think we've got an untapped force here. Another hat that I wear is representing 20,000 scouts that have a lot of power that could be partnered with any of you throughout the CW region and that. So
Wayne, would you put your contact info in the chat so that folks who want to take you up on that can go next? And I want to just turn it back over to Elizabeth, unless Michelle, you have anything else to add, so that we have a lot of great stuff for today. I want to make sure we get to it all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amy, and thank you, Michelle. What an amazing story of the past year. It's reflective, and kudos to the entire Alliance and all the partners that made it possible. And if 2021 was something, wait till you see what we got in store for 2022. And we're going to build on all that energy and excitement, and definitely love the idea of bringing more people here and organizations that are not yet part of our group to do this work. So if we can, Laura, I'm going to turn over. We're going to talk a little bit about our work plan that we have on the horizon for the year ahead as we chart our course. And we're going to start off with an introduction of the green vision, our hub mapping and metrics. And I'm going to turn it over to Mark Squared, Mark Bowman, and Mark Johnson to lead us through what they've been working all year, which is very exciting.
Well, thanks very much, everybody. All for one and one for all. And I'm here to say that if you could move on to the next slide, just a couple of points before I introduce Mark Johnston and the Hub, which is a great band. And actually, I'm just a roadie in the band, and some of the other amazing players in this group include Jim Anderson and Jason Navoda and Jack Brunner, Aksa Ali, Jen Jenkins, Craig Schillinglaw, Patrick McPartland, Laura Riley. If I've forgotten anybody, I apologize.
Casey Sullivan.
Casey Sullivan, last but not least by any means. Casey's been awesome, and Dave Holman. So thank you for that. So I'm here to say that this is the Hub is live. They play live, and I've put the URL in the chat, as well as it's here on the screen. We are working to get an actual domain name that has Chicago Wilderness in the title. And once that's really locked in the next week or two, we'll be making a broader communication to the membership about this. This is a free resource. It is meant for everyone. You just need to sign up with an ArcGIS account to be able to access it. We're in the phase now, so it's live, especially for review among our main partners, so that you get your eyes on it and feedback to us. What does it need to be? Correct any mistakes, suggest additions. This should be a living thing for all of us. And as Mark will demonstrate in just a second here, it's got maps, both interactive and static, and includes a lot of the work product that many organizations contribute. It's a place to put data, and it's a place to interact. So I'll turn it over to Mark right now. And I think someone probably needs to mute, if I'm not mistaken, including me. Mark?
Great, thanks, Mark. Laura, I don't know if it's possible for me to share my screen. Wait, maybe I've got it now.
Yes, you've got it.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay, so we're going to keep this super brief, just to give a quick introduction. I'm sure many of you have seen the hub already. We've continued to do lots of improvements. A lot of that is around adding additional text and language to help describe kind of what you're seeing. First off, as Mark mentioned, so the URL is you see up here at the top of the screen is hopefully going to change within the next couple of weeks. And I would say look for that communication from Laura Riley. Again, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. As Mark said, it's live for review. So if you want to give us feedback, how do you do that? If you go all the way down to the bottom of any of the hub pages, you've got to contact us. So Laura and I were crazy enough to put our emails in there. So we're the go-to if you have, particularly if you want to get engaged with different working groups, then I would reach out to Laura and me, obviously, for more of the hub concerns. All right, zipping back up to the top here. There's a note up at the top of the screen here about being live to the public, but still in development. I just wanted to say one of the biggest things we're probably still working on now is figuring out what are those key metrics that we want to follow across all the different working groups. So the working groups are still working on figuring out what those metrics should be and what we want to track. If you want to see an example of that, the healthy lands, which is shown in the first card here, I'd encourage you when you have a moment to go to that page, and there's a link there about looking at, there's like a dashboard there and some goal tracking. All of this is still kind of in prototype for the goal tracking, but that's the direction we're headed in. So we've kind of simplified the interface to make it work on different monitors, sizes, and to make it a lot simpler for the users to decide what they should click on. I want to call out this section right here. If you're looking at this screen with us at the same time, you probably will only see these top two boxes. And that's because this text here is about joining. And so if you've already joined, it'll give you this, if you want to be removed, but otherwise it'll ask you to join. And if you click on that, you'll get an option to actually create a free account. And you can use even a Google account, Facebook account, or you can just use your email to create new accounts if you need to do that. Now, why would you want an account? Well, you really don't need an account unless you want to upload data. So that's when these additional boxes will show up after you've logged in. And so this button here kind of is a survey that you can fill out that asks for metadata, information about the data that you're uploading. So this would be for GIS folks who want to upload a data set that we don't currently have in our repository. And obviously I'd encourage you to look at the repository first, make sure we don't have it. It also takes things like reports. So if there's a really important report that's key to one of the initiatives or to the region, we'd encourage you to upload those as well. Anyone can do that. So check that out when you can. I'm going to switch over to goal, adding conservation lands. I've already got it queued up here because my internet's going a little slow. And so again, for all of the different goals, we're just using this one as an example. There's additional language here to kind of describe what you're looking at. So there's a little description about this dashboard, which is telling us about the amount of protected lands across the region. Look for more updates on that as well. But then there's some language about each of the maps that you're looking at. So you can see kind of what's the theme of the map, what to look for in it. And then we've got buttons, and some of the initiatives have more buttons than others where we're kind of trying out new surveys and ways of collecting data. This one's pretty simple. It has a full-size map So this is what the full-size map looks like. Just in case you want to be able to work with it on your whole screen. There's a help document. So this is what the help document looks like to give you an idea what are all those different tools that are on the interactive map. And let's see what else. And then lastly, the data repository. And so this is a filtered list of the repository that shows what some of those different GIS layers and reports are that are available specific to that goal. All right, coming back to this, I'm just going to give a couple more minutes here of talking. First, there's underneath the interactive map, there's also a map gallery. So this is where we can feature some of the reports. If you upload a report or a map that you think is important, this is a place where we could feature it. If it's relevant to that specific goal. And then the interactive map itself, up in the top right, this is where you can find the legend. So you'll definitely want to know how to get to that legend and see what the layers are that are available. On this one, we're featuring INAI sites. And so something that's come up with Bell Bowl Prairie, and certainly in the news, there's some INAI sites. These are the really high quality natural areas. Sometimes those natural areas aren't protected and they can end up falling out of protection and we can lose that resource. So I just am gonna, as an example, zoom in on the map here and show you these areas that are in purple. I'm gonna turn off the protected lands. Everything in purple here is an INAI site. And then if you turn on the protected lands, you can see which of those are currently protected. So there's areas that are in purple are showing you INAI sites that are not currently protected. A lot of these are wetland areas, but some of them are not. And all of it's, of course, important. But this is a way that you as a user can come in here and start to use the tools of GIS for your own use. You can even share out the results that you find with other people using the share button. And there's a lot of other tools, so I encourage you to jump in and try them out. You can change the base map so the background can be changed. You can also change, you can zoom to different parts of the map, and we'll continue to add different of those bookmark areas. This is kind of fun. It's a swipe tool, so you can choose what layer you want to peel off, so you can see one layer on top of another and kind of peel it back. And then probably one of the most important buttons here is the add data layers. So this is that same repository that I showed you later that users can contribute to. You can see those layers here, and you can add them to the map yourself and get an idea of what's available and kind of, again, get to sort of do your own GIS work. You might be asking yourself, okay, if people are uploading all this data, who's going to be managing that data? We've got a couple of GIS shepherds, as we're calling them, who have helped us out. Casey and AXA, for those people who know them, they've stepped up to help out as data shepherds, but we're looking for more people to help do that work. And what that means is when people upload a data set, it doesn't just go live immediately. It first gets reviewed. We make sure that it's going to display nicely, and then we add it to the repository. So a real live person jumps in to do that work. And I think that's probably about all the time that we have. Maybe we have some time for some questions. So I'll stop sharing and turn it back.
Thank you, Mark and the entire Hub Mapping team. Any questions? Very exciting. Any questions that anyone has, because this is such a critical component of us being able to visualize and share good information.
I had a quick question. Oh, no.
I just was going to make a comment, Mark. Well, I've seen you do this before. So while you were talking, I went in and joined and got to the map, and it's all in the span of your discussion. So it works pretty smoothly.
That's great. Great to hear that.
This is Amy. And I think this is an incredible, amazing resource, and you guys have made huge progress even since the first mock-up to what is available now for members. I wonder two different questions. One, what do you want folks on this call and members to be doing now? How can we best use or share this hub? Is one. And then the second one is, do we have INAI equivalents for Wisconsin, Michigan, and Indiana in the map? And if not, what should we do next?
Amy, I think you're seeing some of the answers to the second question popping up in the chat here. Thanks, Jim and Nate. And then on the first, I also see an example in the chat of, for example, what Kathy's done. And it's, first of all, if you've been closely involved with the visioning process and the goal process, this is a really good moment to just be sure we've got the language right. And so we can do some really quick edits to get this up to speed before it gets shared even more broadly. So we need this vetting to happen. And then I would say more broadly, as you see it useful, start to use it. And let us know what works and what doesn't for you and what you wish it had. The question here about downloading data is an example of use. And Mark, I don't know if you know the answer to that about downloading data. So use it and let us know.
So yeah, that's an interesting question about the downloadable data. So when the user uploads the data, generally they have the option of making it downloadable or not downloadable. Why would you ever want to make it not downloadable? Well, the reason for that is you can then control the versioning of the data that way, so you don't have extra copies out there that are old. So there's pros and cons to it, but yes, in general, if folks say that it's downloadable, we can generally allow it to be downloaded. And you don't need to log in to be able to do that. Second, Amy, you were mentioning about INAI sites. I believe Wisconsin does have the equivalent. The Wisconsin DNR, I think in particular, has that. And I think we've actually added it to Hub, but I don't know that it's featured on that web page. So we need to do that and probably even combine them together. I'm not sure about Indiana or Michigan for that matter.
Nathaniel said elemental occurrences, or maybe I just made that more.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Okay. So there is something for Michigan. Yay.
And MNFI, Michigan Natural Features Inventory, will have that data.
Awesome. Great. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Great discussion, and we look forward to having this continue to develop, which is kind of important to get that feedback, which is the next area, is been discussion on taking this live and going to that public facing with all of the goals that we've been working on and presenting and getting ready for that launch. And the discussion that's been had is we're probably going to need some capacity to assist us with this, and looking to bring on a public relations communications firm, if the executive council is so willing to do so, to help guide us. We are going to be working, we have a proposed shaping session next Monday with the steering committee and our goal leads to work with ICL and helping us to determine what this request for proposals would look like. What do we need, target audiences, and this is where input is really important to where we're not being represented and how do we go about this launch so that we are successful and that we build this momentum, we keep that going, but how to include and to make sure that we get the word out. So today we are going to be looking for the executive council to authorize the steering committee to prepare and solicit a request for proposals to engage the services of a public relations and marketing firm to assist us with the Green Vision campaign. And our timeline is going to thread us. Obviously, we're very optimistic, a lot can be done, but we're realistic as well, that we would use this year, particularly we're going to talk about Congress, and we're going to have an engagement session here to what that would look like. But that may be one of our targeted dates as we look towards the fall to work towards this. But we need your feedback on that regard. So that's kind of what we're looking for from a campaign launch. Any questions or thoughts that can be answered, or other members of the steering committee and Green Vision goal leads? And of course, funding will shape that a little bit more of what the scope of services will be. But again, some of the initiatives within our budget, we've been building up to do this. And so the discussion has been by the steering committee that this is a wise investment. If we're going to champion and get the word out of all the great work, then this is really important for us to proceed and to get some assistance. So with that, before I leave the campaign launch and there's no questions, I would take a motion to authorize the preparation solicitation of proposals and to grant the steering committee the ability to proceed in engaging a public relations firm to assist with the Green Vision.
So moved.
So moved. Was that John? Thank you so much.
Yes.
Second.
Jack, second.
Jack, thank you. Any further discussion on the campaign launch hiring a firm?
This is Kathy Garrity. I just wanted to mention that we are looking for, as you mentioned to Elizabeth, people to participate in this. And I've talked with our communications director at the Forest Preserves, and he said he's very willing to help. So if anybody else has communications staff who can also join in, that would be great.
Awesome. Thank you, Kathy. Michelle.
I have an addition. It's just, the upcoming Forest Preserves, Cook County Forest Preserves campaign, which will be on the ballot in the fall 2022, is just on so many partners' minds, TNC and so many others included. I just, a personal excitement for me is that this campaign for CW is concurrent with that. I think there's going to be a lot of energy around nature, the benefits of nature, how our protected areas lend to that, and how we as citizens benefit from it. So it's just, I think it's really nice. And I didn't second it, but I'm thirding it. So.
Love that. Great comments. Anybody else? Any hands raised, and definitely we're looking, communications would be a key group to assist us and leverage a lot of great synergy going on. All right, so I will take the vote if we're all good. All those in favor, motion by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. Okay, the ayes have it. So that is going to take some work in the upcoming year, but very exciting. We're going to get back to the Congress because we're going to do a breakout. The other piece that was mentioned in the year of review was working with Cream City Conservation and with August Fall, and we have sessions. Actually, we have a program tomorrow, and I believe there's still time to register for that, to get in on that. There is a little assignment that is requested, a True Colors assignment that is some homework for those that are going to be participating. And we're hopeful that you will allow your staff members, your organization, your volunteers as members. This is a benefit to participate in the great programs. They're going to build upon one another as we go through the year. And then at the culmination, we will be working on our roadmap. And this roadmap will be something that we'll be all involved with, that'll help set the importance of access for all, nature access, and how we shape the alliance. So again, we'll be looking for assistance and involvement as that rolls out. And then there are tree workshops that are continuing through funding of work that's through IDNR and the grants that have been received, and the CAFE series. So a very ambitious, exciting year ahead. I'm going to now turn it over to Sheree Fisher to talk a little bit about the scoping of the Conservation Congress. And turn it over to you, Sheree.
Thanks, Elizabeth. So good morning, everyone. We have a good chunk of time on the agenda now to talk about what Congress 2022 can be, could be, should be. And we're going to treat all of you like a giant planning committee, and we're going to ask for some ideas. It can be just brainstorming at this point. I will say right up front that right now, nothing has been decided about Congress 2022. It is wide open, both format and content. So we're going to talk a little about the different pieces of content and format, and ask you all to weigh in. So I will start with an overview of past Congresses for those who either haven't attended or haven't attended in a while, or just to refresh your memory. For many years, Congress has been a one-day event held at the UIC Forum. It has sometimes been in the fall and sometimes been in the spring, generally every other year. It's been structured like a one-day conference. So the day has started in many cases with breakfast roundtables, and then opening remarks, keynote address, breakout sessions, a lunch, plenary sessions. There have also been special sessions for students and young professionals, and closing remarks, and then cocktails and socializing at the end of the day. So a very full day of events. And lots of presentations and opportunities to network. In addition, the process for Congress in the past has been, we solicited proposals for presentations for the breakout sessions. There was a review process for the selecting presentations, and the breakout sessions were organized into predetermined tracks or themes. 2020 tracks were advocacy, perhaps you remember this, climate, communities, green economy, policy and planning, and science and natural resource management. And again, as we've covered already, Congress did not go forward as planned as a one-day event in 2021 because of, in 2020 because of COVID. Someone needs to mute, please. So I'm going to lead you now through a series of questions on Mentimeter. And if you check in chat, you can find the address and the code that you need for Mentimeter, or if you left it open from before, it's the same code. So first question up on the screen now. If we were going to hold Congress this fall, do you have a preference for what month it should be? I see a lot of people have already weighed in. If you don't have access to Mentimeter, or you're not comfortable using Mentimeter, you can just use the chat, and we'll tally those up later. Again, this is just a straw poll. All of these questions are straw polls to start the conversation. Yes, October is October. All right, give you a few more seconds to vote on the month this fall. All right, so it looks like October is the lead here with November 2nd. Let's go to the next question, please, Laura. So would you like Congress to be either in person, all virtual and online, a hybrid of in-person and online, or excuse me, no preference? And as we begin the planning for Congress 2022, you know, this is one of the first questions we have to consider, because we don't know where we're going to be with COVID. We don't want to be in a situation where we plan a fun, great in-person event that cannot then happen. So please put in your preference. All right, if everyone who's weighed in who wants to weigh in, let's close this question and go to the next. Who do you think is the primary audience for Congress 2022? So this may be a different answer than in the past. In the past, it was, I would say, mostly CW members that were the target audience, but there are lots of other options as well. Please type in what you think. So in Mentimeter, we provided these multiple choice options, but all of the above is one of them and seems to be coming out the winner. Great. Thank you, everyone. You know, I'll say from a planning point of view, it's hard to think about an event that is for absolutely everyone. So we'll have to think about that and refine that. And how do you invite everyone in the region to the same event or series of events? Okay, next up, one more question for now, please. So in terms of structure, do you think that Congress should be a one-day event as in the past, a series of half-day workshops that are spread out over weeks or months, single panel or presentations spread out over weeks or months, or no preference? And if your answer is something else or some combination of these, just make a note, and we'll, right after this question, we're going to open it up for discussion, and you can throw out whatever ideas you have that aren't presented as an option. All right, it looks like everyone is done voting. All right, so we're going to take a break from Mentimeter now. It's interesting on this question that the majority of responses were for a one-day event, as in the past. And if you voted either for that or one of these other options, let's open up for discussion now and throw out why. Why do you think it should be a one-day event? Why do you think it should be in October? Whatever you voted for, or if there were options that were not presented that you want to put on the table, please unmute yourself and pipe in.
I would just say, this is Paul Botts, I'll just say that the one-day event really adds, always for me, has always been part of the value of everybody being together. And I grant that who knows the realities this year, but you know, all that energy, all those people, all in the same space, or, you know, big spaces. And it has value. It always seemed like it has a lot of value for several of the audiences that were listed on the one slide.
Thanks, Paul. Wayne, go ahead.
Okay, I'd like to offer that we have it on a weekend so that the future voters, in other words, the 17, 18-year-old, you know, high school age students and that can have a heavy participatory strand in the Congress, not only in planning it in order to help them grow capacity in the audiences that they deal with, but also to capitalize on bringing together all the youth serving agencies and not-for-profits and so on. I'm not going to list them, but you all know who they are, to come to the forefront in that, because it's this youth base that are going to be voting and being able to make ballot decisions into the future. And so I think that with elections coming up and so on, it's really a golden opportunity to engage the youth, get them knowing facts and so on to use in, you know, correcting, selecting items on the ballots and so on like that. And besides, they're a powerful people power force for service projects and making things happen and restoration activities and so on. So I'd lobby for Saturday and a very heavy youth strand.
Thanks, Wayne. I want to share some things that are in the chat from Cassie Sari. She says 1 day online, 1 day offline, /field/social. From Ted Hafner, I feel that perhaps it should be a series of items that leads up to a celebratory 1 day event. Interesting. From Victoria Wittig, I would like it to be condensed into 1 week, including an in-person event, followed by something I can't read. Sorry, followed by half-day virtual workshops. Interesting.
So Sherry, I would second that kind of concept of having a one-day event, and then Chicago Wilderness thinking about, as we were looking at the screen of who we should present to, maybe we target some of these virtual workshops to different groups of people like planners, municipalities, land trusts, volunteer groups, school groups, and so that we think about how we communicate with each one of those, because I think each one of them requires a little different approach. So I would just say that that's a possibility.
Great. Thanks, Jim.
Drew Hart with U.S. Forest Service. So in conversations yesterday with Lynn Westfall, who I don't believe is here today, and Cherie Fisher, we thought about the fact that, and just to acknowledge that this year is going to be, very different with COVID, and looking at potentially alternative ways to celebrate. And one of those suggestions that we talked about was perhaps having Congress be more field-based, to encourage a variety of different organizations to sponsor field events where people can actually go and either volunteer out across the region with different groups doing different tree plantings, prescribed burnings, or watching a prescribed burn, restoration events, whatever that might be, whatever the organization is doing. It doesn't necessarily have to be a work event. It could be going to different sites and having site stewards or folks there talking about the work that's happening. So it's kind of a different take on Congress, obviously, but just something that we thought about and wanted to throw out there, that putting people in the field and letting them experience what's happening throughout the region in a variety of different ways. Maybe a little difficult to organize, but I just wanted to put that idea out there.
Thanks, Drew.
What Drew said, this is kind of this from the Illinois Department of Natural Resources. Maybe the focus of this can be on doing just that for the one-day Congress, and then having the next step where we put those thoughts into actions, where there's events that participants can participate in.
So that would be like a mix of the recommended one-day event and then a follow-up day or series of days where
follow-up activities that would be included in part of the one-day Congress.
Okay, what do others think of that? A couple of people in the chat are saying sounds like Earth Day, and I love the idea of a day of field visits, tours, and demonstrations. That's from Victoria. Any other thoughts that you want to share, ideas to throw out there?
I have been thinking about this, Sherry. This is Jim Jerishall, NICOR, and I'd love to somehow figure out how do we have some field experience, right? Some locations that we could be out in the field. I would love for it to somehow synchronize with the excellence in restoration sites, the platinum sites or some of these other sites that we've had over the years. Those might be really kind of interesting and good places to collaborate. And also, how could this tie into the hub in a practical way? And so, for example, if we can have some kind of field activity going on, and maybe it's like, I don't know, maybe you're counting oak trees or you're going and geolocating some things, and then could that actually come back and be somehow integrated into the hub, and we can learn how to upload data. We could learn how to use the hub or somehow interact with the hub. And so my idea here is that, yes, there's some elements of the past, where we got some rah-rah and some discussions and big level things, but then how do we integrate and weave that into a real field experience, geographically spread out, right? Like it can be different parts of the geography as well. So that was kind of what was going through my head.
Great, thank you, Jim. Yeah, John Ragnar.
You know, I think about this in a couple of different ways. You know, the traditional one-day Congress, and I think I'm following on what Paul Bott said, it's a day where everyone can convene at one time, and just the rejuvenation that we all get, the networking, you come out of there really psyched, whether you went to a presentation or not. All the networking you did is a powerful thing, and I think there's value in that. But I also know that at that point, we will have unveiled our goals, and I think we're going to want to try and use the Congress as a way to advance our agenda. And so that would lead me in the direction of a series of perhaps online workshops tied into each of the goals to make sure that we're moving that agenda forward. And so, we're past just the socializing, the reinvention of Chicago wilderness. Now we're moving into, to me, an action phase, and the Congress would be a big opportunity to move that forward. So I think the way to accomplish maybe both of those things would be piggybacking on someone's idea already, have a series of online workshops, maybe over a week, and conclude it with a field-based exercise where people can get together and celebrate in person and celebrate safely as well. So maybe there's a way to marry those two. That's all.
Thank you, John. Anything else anyone wants to add? Some support rolling in the chat for John's idea. Paul Bott says a great way to get maximum value from a day of field visits would be some real effort to publicize it beyond ourselves and our existing audiences, so that it becomes a way that some new audiences discover the places and work that we all already know about. So good point. Thank you, Paul. Ooh, and Victoria says, I wonder if field visits could be recorded and broadcast live as part of Congress. Interesting. That would be neat. So you could virtually attend a field visit. All right. Thank you for that. We're going to do a couple more questions in Menti. So I'm going to post the Menti link again. And this is to get you thinking about the content of Congress, which John Ragnar just raised. But there are, a lot of different options for what kinds of things we could focus on for content and themes. So Laura, could you put up the next poll, please, for Menti?
Can you see it now, Sheree?
See it. I don't think that's okay. So this is post your thoughts about the questions we just covered.
Oh, okay. Let me go back.
Okay, you need to go forward, I think, 2 slides. Okay.
Thank you for your patience, everyone.
Yep. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so would you like Congress to have themes, as in the past, that are sort of decided on independently? So for example, as a reminder, the 2020 themes were advocacy, climate, communities, green economy, planning and policy, and science and natural resource management. Or themes or tracks tied to the CW goals, as John Ragnar just suggested. Those would be healthy land, healthy water, healthy people, healthy planet. No themes, so just items of interest that could be shared, and no preferences. And for those of you that can see the Mentimeter poll, we are getting strong majority preference for themes that are tied to the CW goals. All right, a few more seconds to vote in Menti and we'll go on to the next one. Or as always, you can put your preference in the chat. Okay, thank you, everyone. Laura, go ahead to the next one, please. If everyone were masked and/or events were held outdoors, would you attend and encourage others to attend in-person tours, site visits, and demonstrations? So it's a COVID reality check here. So interesting that no one is saying no. There is some uncertainty. About a quarter of the people who have voted are not sure, but the vast majority say yes. So that's good to know, because we certainly don't want to plan and hold in-person events that people are afraid to attend. Anyone else want to weigh in on this question? I'll give you a few more seconds. Okay, thank you, Laura. Can you go to the next one? Whatever format Congress ends up taking, do you think there should be a keynote or kickoff event that everyone attends, either in person or online? So yes, no, not sure. Interesting. So no peer pressure if you feel differently, but the vast majority of people are saying yes. There is a lot of value in that kind of event that brings everyone together. And Elizabeth asks in the chat, would this change if we added a requirement that everyone show proof of vaccination? So I think if people are already saying yes without knowing about proof of vaccination, we're probably good. Okay, a couple more seconds. And then go ahead to the next one, Laura. All right, so now we're going to open it up again. So if you have thoughts that you want to share about the content of Congress, you can either put them in the Mentimeter board, or again, we're going to open up the discussion. You can just throw your thoughts out there. So these are mostly about safety content themes. So I will play devil's advocate and say, if we have a Congress that focuses on the CW themes, does that imply a very internally focused Congress that may not be so interesting and welcoming for people who are not already members? What do you think?
This is Elsa Anderson from the Chicago Botanic Garden. I actually think that the CW themes are so kind of accessible in their own right, and especially coming after, by that point, 2.5 years of pandemic, especially something like healthy people will probably really resonate with a broader group. And that's kind of what I was going to get at with kind of merging our discussion of COVID safety and things. Like, I think we have some power to highlight the importance of natural areas and accessible natural areas in keeping people safe and healthy and well coming out of COVID and moving into the future of, whatever life is moving forward. That, like, if we can drive home the point that this is good for everybody, especially when things are bad, that would be a really powerful message.
Great, thank you, Elsa. Amy Rosenthal shared in the chat, on Congress, I think we do want to serve members. Isn't this why we trade off with Wild Things, which is open for all the wildlife lovers in the region? Other thoughts, other ideas? All right, I'll give you another 10 seconds or so to weigh in, and if there's nothing more, then we can wrap this up. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for weighing in on that. I will say that not surprisingly, the next step is to ask for people who want to serve on a planning committee for Congress. So if you feel strongly about any of the things that we've talked about or anything that we didn't talk about how Congress should be organized, then please step up. Join the planning committee. We want as big a planning committee as we can possibly have, so that there are a lot of voices in the room, and so that the work of planning Congress is divided into manageable bites for everyone on the committee. So I would say go ahead and get in touch with Laura Riley or Elizabeth Kessler if you want to be on the planning committee, or if you feel strongly about it and want to commit by putting your name in the chat, please do. And we will, I think the first Congress Planning Committee meeting is going to have to be pretty soon, because even though we're talking about the fall, it's going to come up fast. So thanks everyone for the discussion. Back to you, Elizabeth.
Thanks, Cherie. An awesome job in leading us through such an engaging conversation about Congress, its importance, and love to see the energy for a great liftoff. And definitely that call out for volunteers to help. And not just necessarily that everybody feels that sitting around the executive council table, as much as we'd love to have you as well, but please go back to your organizations or others that are not present to help add to the capacity. It's a great opportunity to get involved and engaged and help us move this forward. So that's great. The other thing I just want to say with the upcoming year that we've got, we have reorganized as far as how frequently the steering committee is meeting. And we're going to be meeting on the 4th Mondays of the month from 9 to noon. And those meetings, we're looking definitely hybrid options. So they're available by Zoom, and we'll be looking for some in-person meetings. We're also having the Green Goal, Vision Goal groups join us for the beginning of the meetings. And these are open meetings. So anybody else, if you go out to the calendar, if you're interested in seeing what's going on, we believe that it's important to be transparent and open. And so feel free to drop in at any of those times. So again, that'll be on the 4th Mondays. And again, our next meeting is on Monday with ICL as we begin to shape out this RFP. And then we're hopeful too that during, we have 3 more of our executive council meetings planned for the year, which are our normal time frame. There was some discussion on, do we keep the dates and times? I know our world is differently from COVID, and when organizations are back in the office or remote. And we're interested in continued feedback. Right now, we're going to stay to the months that we have, which would be our next meeting would be in April, followed by July, and then October, sticking to the Wednesday morning. And again, right now, still using a Zoom format for larger engagement. So again, we look forward to continued feedback if anybody is concerned with that, or we need to relook at that going forward. Okay. So if we can, again, go on now. Next on our agenda, I believe, is the opportunity for team and working group updates. So anyone that would like to share with the rest of the group what you've got going on, I'll take the floor and share away.
The natural resource and science team will be meeting on the 25th from, I believe, 9 to 10:30 or somewhere around there. If Laura could put an invite in the chat for those of people that would like to attend. There is going to be sort of a focus around data and data resources. And I think the hub group is being invited to attend that meeting. So just letting you know that that meeting will be happening on the 25th.
Hi, this is Ted Hafner, the Climate Committee head. One of the things I'm trying to do in the new year is to get organized. We've had a lot of work on our goals. I think they're in pretty good shape. We're moving forward on a couple of the goals, including a revision of the climate action plan. We have an outline for that now that is fairly good. There are some comments. I want to circulate that to other goal group leads. But the main thing that I really want to do this year is start attending other goal group meetings so that I know what's going on in these other goal groups. So to that end, I've been working with Laura to confirm the goal group heads, and I will email you hopefully by the end of the week to ask for those schedules. So if this comes out of the blue, that's where it's coming from. Thank you, and that's all I have.
Hey, this is Daniel Suarez. Again, I wanted to give a quick report out from the agriculture team. We've been having monthly meetings, so for anyone that isn't involved, that wants to get involved, we meet on the second Tuesday of the month from 1 to 2 p.m. So feel free to reach out if you're interested in becoming involved. But we're happy to report that we're going to be planning a field day in June in Will County, looking at some of the Forest Preserve of Will County's agriculture land leases that are employing organic and regenerative practices. We're going to be visiting some private landowners as well. It's going to be a full day, very field-based. People can come in and out, join for as much or as little as they want to. And that's about all the details I have on there right now as we're hard at work planning that. So invitation for that will be forthcoming, and then standing invitation for anyone to join the CW Ag team. Thanks.
This is Kathy Garrity. I could report briefly on the acquisition of conservation lands. We have refined our goal to include not losing any more land in addition to acquiring more land. That is partially in response to the Belbo's Prairie issue and some other issues that have come to our attention where beautifully landscaped properties are being sold for development. So we're going to focus on that as well. And the other piece we're going to take up is well, we recognize that different counties have different challenges to acquiring land. Like, for example, in Cook County right now, a lot of the land that we want to acquire includes buildings, and dealing with buildings is a challenge for us, but it might not be a challenge for another county. So we're going to be making phone calls to really identify challenges and then figure out strategies for getting around them. And that's it. Everybody's welcome to join us.
This is Cherie Fisher again. Oops, sorry for whoever I just cut off. I'm chair of the Force of Nature Awards Committee. And I have a couple of slides to share. Laura, could you put up the first slide about the member event? Thank you. So for those of you who weren't able to attend, we had a very successful CW member event on December 8th. It was held live, one of the first live events that I've been to with a lot of people in a long time. And it was not a super spreader event. We requested and required proof of vaccination for everyone who attended. So we presented the EERP and Force of Nature Awards. Could you go to the next slide, please? It was a beautiful venue, Thatcher Woods Pavilion. So thank you to the Forest Preserve District of Cook County for providing the venue for us. These were the 4 winners of EERP accreditation for 2021. Laura, could you go to the next one, please? These are 4 of the 12 people and organizations who won Force of Nature Awards. I want to say thank you to the reviewers for both committees. So it's a lot of work in a concentrated time to do the accreditation work and the field visits, and then also for the Force of Nature Awards to turn around the nominations and select award winners in a short time. Could you go to the next slide, please? These are 4 more of the Force of Nature Awards winners. I also want to say thank you to all the nominators who do a lot of work to pull together documentation and make the case for these people and organizations to receive awards. And it is generally the stronger nominations that end up being recognized. But there were some really amazing awards this year, as always. Next slide, please. And these are the last 4 Force of Nature Awards for 2021. So the work of the EERP committee and also the Force of Nature review committee is done until 2023. But if you weren't able to attend this event, it was a really, really wonderful, very positive atmosphere, very celebratory event. And I hope that you will consider nominating someone or or attending the next event in 2023. Thanks, everyone.
I want to take a minute right here to share, to thank Cherie and Ralph Schultz and Rebecca Collins for all the work that they put into the awards and the nomination process. So kudos to you. It was a beautiful event.
Hear, hear.
That was a wonderful event. Laura, as usual, your hand involved as well. Thank you. For the corporate council, we have scheduled our meetings out through the year. We're kind of doing a hybrid of virtual meetings and then a together meeting, a live meeting, and then a virtual and together. So we're going to explore that together as a group, and then further, just gathering together and strategizing on the goal 3 that we're charging forward on, and getting ourselves geared up for good progress this year.
Any other committee team reports?
Hey, this is Mark Bowman again. I neglected to say before that the Hub Mapping Group meets every other Monday at 3:30. And of course, you're all welcome to attend, and others are welcome to attend and be part of the band in the long run too.
Anyone else?
Okay, I'm dropping the community calendar. Thanks for dropping that in, Cherie, for me. In there, the teams are listed there, and once you register, you get the Zoom links when they're available. So go ahead and check that out.
Laura, thank you for doing that. And again, thank you to all the leads and the working groups that are making this great movement forward in these goals and other activities that make up the Alliance. And then Laura, if you would provide your report for everyone.
Yeah. So in addition to the events for the team meetings, I wanted to let everybody know that we've made some changes to the community calendar. So you can actually add funding opportunities to the calendar. So if you have those types of opportunities, go ahead and drop those into that as well. We're excited about our next cafe on January 26th. It's a different time. It's from 3 until 4:30 p.m., but it's collaborating for 30 by 30 in America the Beautiful, and register today, and we'll look forward to seeing you then. And as we mentioned, our next Cream City workshop is tomorrow morning with August Ball, and we look forward to advancing through that workshop series through the year. Membership renewals are coming in, and we're really pleased to kick off this new year with the Green Vision goals and all the exciting work that's happening thus far. That's it.
And thank you, Laura, for your leadership and assistance throughout the entire year. You and Maria, again, a small and mighty too, but again, appreciate a shout out on behalf of all of us for your work. So thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. I really enjoyed all the stuff that we've accomplished this year. Thank you.
Okay, so announcements. Anyone have anything to share with the group that's happening in your area? Your brag time here, and don't be shy, please. It's all good to hear all these good stories, and we want to hear from you. We want to hear these stories, not only here, but if you've got different things happening, if you would just share us, send an email, a press release. We'll make sure that we cross promote on our social media and on Chicago Wilderness. That builds up all the work that we're doing as the Green Vision. So anybody else have stories to share today?
Donna has her hand up.
Hello. I'm with the League of Women Voters, Lake Michigan region. And I wanted to let you know that we are planning an Earth Day event with Tom Skilling. It'll be 2 to 5 p.m. in Chicago, hybrid meeting. April 16th, which is a Saturday. I don't have a link yet. I'll post more details when I get them.
Thank you, Donna.
This is Nathaniel. I just wanted to add, I'm pretty excited about in May 3rd, the Wildflowers of Indiana Dunes book is coming out with from Indiana University Press that I co-wrote. So keep your eyes open for that. It's pretty exciting.
Hey, Wayne Schimpf here. The Pathway to Adventure Boy Scout Council, which covers most of the Chicago wilderness area, is having their fall camporee, and we expect 5,000 scouts and scouters to be there. It'll be held October 7th, 8th, and 9th at the McHenry County Fairgrounds. And at the location, we're going to have a conservation activity world. And so I'd like to invite any member of Chicago Wilderness that would like to expose their resources of their agency and opportunities to contact me. And we'll give you an audience there of scouts and that. We want the activities to be engaging and participatory for the scouts and the leaders. And some of you did participate 2 years ago when we had it out at Bussey Woods, but this year, because of the location and that, we hope to be able to use the excellent resources of McHenry County and the fairgrounds and the adjacent conservation areas there. So Elizabeth, I'd like to talk to you more about that because it's in your backyard, and to help really make a fantastic learning experience for the scouts, and more importantly, the volunteer leaders that can put activity programs on the unit's calendars after the event is over. Thank you.
That's fine.
Wayne, what was the date of that event?
That's October 7th, 8th, and 9th.
This is Cherie again. I'll just throw out there as kind of a niche issue, but for anyone who's interested in urban wood utilization, Erica Horgan of Horgan Mill and Horgan Urban Wood is starting an Illinois chapter of the Urban Wood Network. And if anyone's interested in joining that or learning more about it, you can reach out to me or Erica if you know her.
Okay. Anyone else? Jim Anderson, if I may, he has shared the news that he is retiring, but we're not going to let him go far here. So Jim, congratulations on your upcoming retirement.
Thank you very much. They're interviewing for my replacement as we speak. So hopefully by the end of the week, we'll have an announcement of who's going to try to take my, just fill my role. That's what's going to happen. So
we're glad that you're with us.
I'll still be around.
More time for CW.
Maybe more time for Citizens for Conservation, or fishing, or work days. That's where I'm thinking about getting outside as soon as it gets warm, if not sooner. So thanks, everyone.
We wish you the very best in your retirement and glad that you'll have more time for all the wonderful things that are important. So thank you. And I too, from McHenry County, I will say we have introduced, if you've heard, bison back to the prairie at Pleasant Valley Conservation Area. So we're really psyched about that, and it's going very well. And so we'll definitely have, it's under lease for 15 years with an arrangement. So, but it's going very well, and a shout out to our entire team for making that possible. All right, anybody else? Okay, hearing none, we got through a lot of stuff today. We ran through the time that we had, but again, I hope it was productive. I definitely appreciate everybody's participation. And if there be no other information, I will take a motion to adjourn today's meeting, and we'll reconvene on April 20th.
I motion to adjourn.
Thank you, David. Do I have a second?
Jim Anderson will second.
Jim, we'll give that to you. All those in favor, motion by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? All right, no nays, we're in aye favor. We are adjourned, and you now have some additional time back on your schedule for today, which is all awesome as well. So thank you, everyone. Stay well.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Elizabeth.
All right, thank you,
Bye-bye.
Elizabeth.
Take care,
Good
everyone.
job, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.